Hey, I'm Claire,
And I'm Janice.
and this is The X-Files, a podcast about breakups, broken hearts, and moving on.
We are breakup coaches here to help you beat your breakup
Heal your broken heart.
and move on to an amazing, abundant life.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of The X-Files.
Hi.
Hello. Today, we are talking about chemistry versus compatibility. This is a big thing to talk about because as coaches, we hear again and again about the reasons that breakups are hard for people. And what's often surprising is that a lot of people we speak with have been in relationships where they didn't really have the foundations that make for a long-lasting, happy partnership, long term.
Yep. Have you gone through this yourself, Claire?
Yes. I mean, I've dated people. I wouldn't say like I was in long-term committed relationships. I mean, there was definitely one for sure where it was very clear to everyone other than
Trump
me
boy
at the time. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about the role that politics can play
politics
in
is a big thing.
relationships.
Yeah.
Well, it is for some and it isn't for others. But you need to know that before you get too deep in.
Yeah. And it wasn't just the politics in that situation. I think he looked at the role of women inside of relationships very differently than I did. And that did come out over time. So sometimes you do have to invest a little bit of time to actually know someone for who they
I think you need to invest a lot of time and just know in the initial months or even year that you're just learning about the other person rather than, rushing to the chapel.
Yeah. And it's not wasted. So just
to
clarify there. Yeah.
Oh, no. And that's definitely not what I mean. It's all, doing homework and seeing if this is going to make it long term because of how you guys not only get along and how good the sex is, but also just how your lives are compatible and how you see things. Because as we're going to talk about, after the honeymoon phase ends, all of this stuff just becomes like really real.
Magnified.
I've wanted to do this topic for a while because I've definitely gone through it a couple times where I got really wrapped up in the initial romance.
Yeah.
And then found out after I was already quite invested that like it was never really gonna work. And that if I would have kind of been, I don't want to say mature enough, but if I would have been capable or aware enough to kind of stop and say, whoa, wait, if this is going to be an issue, maybe we should like take things slow. It would have been, I would have saved myself a lot of heartache. And also as a breakup coach, I hear about this, all the time. So a lot of the things I hear as far as what people struggle with during a breakup, and when they talk about why they're struggling because the relationship was so great. Some of the things I hear are, of course, the sex was amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. And so it's very hard, to let go of that. And we can definitely talk about this, good sex does not a relationship make. But this, this got to me a couple different times, and I know it gets to other people. Yeah. I hear people say that, they could talk really easily with this person, or they could talk all night, and they haven't had that with anyone. I've also heard, I've never felt so comfortable so quickly, right? This is all chemistry. Okay?
Yes.
Which is super great. It's wonderful. But this is one part of the puzzle.
Exactly.
All right. I've heard that we had such a blast together. Been wonderful. It's getting along with someone. My family thought he was great. So I would say that this is borderline compatible, but also a bit of chemistry because, again, everyone's just getting along so well. It just feels great.
Exactly. And especially when you like their family too, like you're kind of like, oh, I like their dog. I like their family. Like I like their friends. I just don't like them so much.
Yes. And again, this is, attraction that you might have with their family, attraction that you might have with the dog. This is all, just people having chemistry with one another.
Exactly.
And I also hear a lot things like, oh, I did so much for them, so I can't really understand why it didn't work out and it hurts so bad. So again, none of this is, what really makes a relationship that's going to last 3-4 years and beyond. I'm not, all of this is valid completely, but these are things that happen in the initial stages.
Exactly. Yeah. It's if your foundation for the relationship is built on these things, basically,
right.
Just to expect that these are the things that are probably going to fade and take a lot of work to maintain. And will also change as people grow and evolve. And so there are other things that long term will be more constant that are like a better foundation.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so these are all perfectly valid reasons. Um and during this phase it's just so easy to get caught up in the emotions and the physical attraction and lose sight of the compatibility factor. And if you two have enough of the same goals and outlooks and expectations to maintain a functional relationship. I know firsthand how powerful chemistry can be. I mean, obviously I've had chemistry with everyone I've dated, but I've
That's
had
good.
yeah, I mean
winning.
Yeah, winning. I've had insane chemistry where I can't even eat on the date, and that's not something that happens. I'm just so in it that I would just
yeah. So then what
couple
would you define
spoonfuls
the
of something.
chemistry as being?
Oh, I mean, the feeling, describing the feeling. Oh, just that obsession of just always thinking about them. And any little thing that they express that they're into, you go and you're like, oh, I gotta learn about this thing. Yeah. Or they share a favorite book and then you read it the next week, you're just trying to absorb as much about them as possible, even when you're not with them.
So it would be sexual attraction possibly, and then also getting on really well and being able to talk and share things really easily.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of people think that that's compatibility, and that's actually, as I see it, that's chemistry. Yeah. If you can meet someone and talk and talk and talk and share things, that's having a chemical response and attraction to someone.
Yeah, exactly. And it also that can be used in a bad way too, you don't want to give away too much of who you are and what you're looking for and just be here's the guidebook on how to seem to be the perfect guy for me. You want to let someone reveal things about themselves instead of being here's what I'm looking for, because then if you have someone who is a little bit more toxic or controlling or trying to get in a they're not looking to actually find someone who's a good match, they're just looking to get with you. They can take that information you're giving them and kind of misuse it and seem like they're this amazing guy. And obviously that fades out pretty quickly because
yes, when this happens,
you can't pretend to be a different person for that long.
True. And yes, and just, if you're starting to date again after a breakup, definitely know that, these are things that you reveal about yourself as the person gains your trust. None of this happens even in the initial months of a relationship. All right. So often when I'm coaching people and counseling friends, when we start to get to this phase where I do start to point some of these things out. This is probably the point in the conversation where I hear the big but. And then I hear the we talked or we got on or this, that, the other. And I really hear often this whole thing about I never felt this comfortable before.
Yeah.
You know, like there's always this but, you know, like my situation is the exception. But getting stuck here can, and as it has in all of these conversations with these people, getting stuck in this phase and in this space can lead to a lot of heartache down the road, because these feelings are temporary. And, you know, eventually, especially as adults who want, you know, futures with people, we will have to face the truth eventually, whether we like it or not, about whether or not a relationship is practical and if it's likely to stay harmonious in the long run.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about this, is because it really is common. And I don't think that it's something that people really consider. And it's not something that we talk about a lot. I mean, I think when it comes to love, and this is, you know, exasperated by the, you know, media, when it comes to love and romance, it's, you know, the initial feelings. And when it's right, it's right. And you just know. And that is not the case with grown-ass people who want to be in relationships.
I mean, you think about it, like that's why like all the rom-coms and everything, well, not all of them, but like most of them, it's like takes you from the initial meeting through like an initial problem and then them getting together, and then it's happily ever after, and that's all you see, because that's like all exciting and the chemistry and everything. But it doesn't, you know, like we don't have a lot of examples in movies and stuff about what comes after that point, when the you know, excitement and the butterflies have faded away,
or they just skip over it in some movies where, you know, they meet and there's like a montage of, you know, romance and excitement, and then it kind of cuts to like 5 years later. Which is rare. And but there is so much work and discovery that goes on during that time.
Yeah. So let's talk about the triangle theory of love. So this is a really cool concept to help illustrate this.
Crucial concept.
Yeah. The theory is that if love was represented on a triangle, the top point would be intimacy, and then the second point would be passion, and then commitment. Some relationships have all three, but most only have one or two of those. So if your relationship has intimacy plus passion, that's considered romantic love, according to this theory.
And that's like, you know, I think what a lot of the media and a lot of what people focus on is this combination.
Then the like intimacy would be like, no one, like he understood me like no one else
could. Yeah. So intimacy,
you know?
Doesn't necessarily mean like sex. It means that you will maybe share something with them that you wouldn't with someone else.
Yeah. And I guess passion would be like kind of the sexual. Sex. Would be like
attraction,
the fancy dinners, the gifts, like the needing to be with that person,
wanting to touch. If your relation has passion and commitment, which this is kind of my thing, it's considered fatuous love, meaning that there's a high level of infatuation and a strong desire to make it work because of the excitement surrounding the intimacy. Right? So you meet someone and you're super excited about them, and just before you know it, you know, you're wanting to make it work. So this is the stage that I see a lot of people getting stuck in the, you know, honeymoon phase. Like, we've got to make it work. I'm committed. I'm going to do this. You know, let's move in together. I'm going to, do the work. I'm going to be there for them. I'm going to sacrifice. I'm just going to push through because, you know, this is it. And if anyone has had a whirlwind romance before, that would be this combination.
So like it's more like your connection is based on the sexual, and also like the wanting this to be the thing between the two of you, and but you don't really have that same like understanding
We don't have
of
any
each other.
understanding, really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people don't even talk about the long-term stuff.
Yeah,
I do this.
exactly.
It's like when your partner or the person you're dating leaves or you guys part ways, for the day. And,
Mhm.
like this longing, like, I can't wait to see you again. And you're texting all day long.
Yeah.
In the early stages. I mean, there's nothing wrong with texting your partner during the day, but when you've kind of just met someone and you're already doing that, you would say that you possibly have fatuous love. So a very
Got it.
high level of chemistry for sure. But
Mhm.
whether or not there's compatibility, I mean, you don't really even know
Yeah.
in a lot of the cases, myself
Yeah.
included.
So another combination is having intimacy plus commitment. And that is what's called companionate love. And this is great, but lacking the passion may lead to
Yeah.
dissatisfaction down the line.
Yeah.
And
Have you ever had, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I've definitely been here. And I think it sucks.
Oh,
I
really?
think
So
it's the
this would not be
hardest thing.
my pattern, but I've helped
Yeah.
people through it.
Yeah. This would be, what am I trying to say? I feel like this is one of the hardest things to end because, you really understand each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that feeling of like we're just such good friends. Like
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
best friends.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I never want to hurt this person. Like I could totally see our future together, but it's lacking
Yeah.
the like romantic spark. There's
Mm-hmm.
not the passion.
Yep. And
Um
also sex. I mean, have you ever had friends or clients tell you that they just feel like their partner's a roommate?
Yeah, that's
The
that's another yeah, like we're just
mm-hmm.
friends or like
Yeah.
he's a big brother or
Oh
like
God.
yeah, that
And I
one's
mean,
awkward.
you would need to have intimacy to live with someone
Yeah,
and be happy with just that. And
exactly.
so yep.
Yeah,
Companion
yeah.
love.
So it's hard because I think the passion does take the two people working at it because especially for women, um, like novelty is sexy.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're living with someone for years, you have to work at making sure you're doing novel things. And if
Yeah.
both people aren't on board, or even if, like, you know, you just don't know that it's something you should be working at, you can think, oh, this has to end because, like things are fading away and not really realize, just like taking
Sure.
that as a
Sure.
sign that it's time to leave rather than taking it as a sign of like, hey, let's see if we can have a sexy stranger night or like do
Mm-hmm.
things like that where you're bringing in
Yeah.
some
Ooh, this would
novelty.
be a good topic to cover. How to keep it
Yeah.
hot. I
Yeah.
think that what you're saying is true, but as long as this is something that's coming up after 2 or 3 years, if you're
Yeah.
experiencing companion love in kind of the early stages,
Oh, that's a bad
you
sign.
might
Yeah.
say, there's not
Yeah.
any. If there's no passion from the beginning,
Yeah.
yes, then maybe not
Yeah.
move
Or,
forward. But you're absolutely right. If it's something that fizzles after, like over time,
yeah,
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 work
over
on it.
time, after like 2 to 3 years and this is
Yes,
starting to
yes.
fizzle, then yeah, work on it. But if you're like you've been dating for a few months and I don't know. I mean, everyone has different levels
True.
of
Yeah.
sexual appetite. Like
Uh-huh.
it's
Uh-huh.
really rare for people to be on exactly the same level. But
Mhm.
there there should be some sex.
Yeah, and if you're
Um
starting to have sex, you should be somewhat excited about it in the
yeah.
early days.
Exactly.
Yes, I am
Yeah.
going to say that. I'm going to stand by that. Yes, you should be
Yeah.
excited in the early days. If you're
Yeah.
not, that's fine, but
Yeah.
maybe not move forward together.
Yeah. And if you have all three, then congratulations, you have what is called consummate love, and you're likely to go the distance.
Mhm.
And what people don't, or a lot of people don't realize, is that discovering whether or not you have consummate love typically only comes after the relationship has been tested
And
and you've
tested
reached
and
the
tested.
balance phase of the relationship. And this
Mm.
can take a few years.
Yep.
So there is some time investment, like I mentioned earlier. And that's not time wasted, even
Yep.
if it turns out that you don't have all three.
Yep. And you need to, or you can go and find someone that you do have all three with.
Yeah.
But yeah, the point is that it takes a lot more than just being attracted to someone or just being able to talk with someone or just both wanting a relationship.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is you need to have chemistry and compatibility. And yeah, that would be intimacy, commitment, and passion.
Woo.
And if you really think about it, like everyone stop and think, how many people do you know that actually have all three? Not that many, and especially people who are in early-ish relationships.
Yeah.
And so it's not a recipe for happiness. And as we often say, we want people to be happy, so we want you to think about this.
Yeah.
All right. So if we all though do go through the honeymoon phase, which we do talk about the honeymoon stage a lot, what is the problem with having deep chemistry? If this happens to everyone, are we saying that, you should take it as a red flag that you have chemistry with everyone? Don't we need chemistry to make a relationship work? Don't we need intimacy? Don't we need to be, strongly sexually attracted to our partner?
Yeah.
Yes. you do, as we were just saying, if you're not excited about having sex with your partner, that's definitely a sign.
Yeah.
And the problem arises when we get so overly caught up in the honeymoon phase that we click with someone, and before we know it, that we're reorganizing our lives for them. We're rearranging our schedules to be together each night, even though we live separately. Yes, I've done it many times, or several times. So when we go to the initial spark, when we go from the initial spark of a relationship to spending, like I just said, most nights together in a week, I'm going to just go on a bit of a limb here and say that if you've just met someone and you're like vibing with them and you start spending the night at each other's houses that soon, I don't think that's healthy. I know that it's exciting, but I don't think that would be a good move. I think it's too much too soon.
Yeah. Well, not like every night. Like you can have sleepovers.
Yes, but people will start almost living together within, weeks or the early weeks. Or one person is sleeping over all the time. So then you're not getting really the space to think about what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And you're starting, like you said, reorganizing. Like if you have long-standing plans or you have hobbies and things that you find that you're canceling in order to just like hang out with someone and not even do anything, like that's yeah, I mean, I would just take a pause. And you know what? Like 100%, I can pretty much, 100%. Continuing to do your own hobbies is only going to help your relationship. If your new partner is having a problem with you doing the things that you love doing, hanging out with the friends you used to hang out with and doing things like that, that's a big red flag.
Yeah. And also, why aren't they having their own stuff and
exactly.
time alone?
They need.
And we're going to talk about the things that the quote experts say are important for compatibility. And I was actually really surprised to find out that the couple's ability to each spend time alone was one of the most common things that counselors and relationships experts said was important for compatibility. So we're gonna talk about that in a few minutes.
Awesome. Sure. Yeah, so chemistry and sexual attraction can very quickly cloud our judgment.
And that's another thing. It really can overwhelm the system.
Yeah, it's just those chemical responses are so powerful. Like and they are really hard to manage, and it's kind of like you gain this ability almost through experience. If you haven't had it yet, it's kind of like you have to learn how to do this and learn how to like moderate your enthusiasm.
Yes.
But
completely. Because I mean I already said this, but so many people say it, like being with them just felt so good, and it's like, of course it did, but you've got to throttle back at that point. or the good is
Just
going
a
to turn
little,
into
yeah.
a freaking nightmare before
And also, you want to make like the honeymoon phase last as long as possible,
That's a
dude.
really good point,
You don't want to
actually. That's a
like
much more
settle.
positive
Yeah,
spin.
you don't want to like settle into living together and like talking about bills and to-do lists and shit like several months in. You want to have your fun while you can.
Yeah.
And yeah, really
Wonderful point.
enjoy that like
Mhm.
that feeling of longing when you're not with them. Like
Yeah.
really lean
Mhm.
into it and be like, wow, isn't this so cool how much I want to
Yeah.
be with this person? It's so
Mhm.
nice. Yeah, so you know, just remember like so much of what we talk about is like brain chemistry with breakups, and the same thing when you're getting into a relationship. Those chemical responses cause us to cancel plans, act irrationally, throw our personal goals and plans out the window, do all sorts of other things that feel wonderful in the moment, but like quickly turn our lives upside down. And this is when you can kind of like look back once you're out of that cloud of like the love potion almost, you're like, what
Mhm.
the fuck was I doing?
Exactly. And so many people do it. And
Yeah.
I've done it. So I have
Yeah. No, we've both
because
been there. Like, trust me.
so I've had a couple semi-recent experiences with this. Having the chemistry really strong in the beginning and and then realizing that the compatibility wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, as everyone who listens know, I'm happily single. And one of the reasons I decided to take a break from dating is because I realized that this was a pattern that I kept on repeating over and over. Even
Uh-huh.
when I would get to a place where I thought that it was behind me, I would start dating someone and the excitement I would just get swept away by it. And so after the last time, I just said, all right, time to stop
Yeah.
for a little while.
And it's good
Which
to be excited. Like I wouldn't say you have to
Well,
like
I'm going to tell a couple
not feel
stories.
excited. It's just like having the wherewithal to not act on it all the time.
Yes.
It's
Yeah. And it
yeah.
takes a lot of willpower.
Yeah, and it's
So,
also like the initial chemistry is what like you and your partner will refer back to as time goes on. Like those that initial story of you coming together, like it has to be a really positive experience because it is part of what the long term is built on. Like, you know, you should be able to like be nostalgic together and be like, oh, remember when we did that? And like, you know, so we're not saying like, oh, you should go date someone you're totally bored with.
yeah.
Um,
Just take things one step at a time, though.
yeah,
You don't move from being attracted to someone to, you know, planning your future together or moving in together. Like there's many steps in between, is I think what one of our major
yeah,
points is.
yeah.
And so I had two semi-recent, like in the last 5 years, I've done this twice. And, you know, and people wouldn't think that I do this, but I do, or I did. I don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
So in one case, a classic case. So I had been friends with someone who had from the beginning always wanted more, but I had said that it wasn't going to happen because I didn't feel, you know, the same attraction that he did. But he had decided, you know, which I thought, you know, several months in was kind of romantic. He had decided, you know, he's just going to stick with it. You know, he's not going to give up, you know. And so we spent more and more time together because we were in the same social group. And, you know, eventually, you know, we're hanging out all the time. And we did, you know, it's kind of like one of those one thing led to another type situations. And we, yeah, did become intimate. And once that happened, like I just threw everything I knew to be wrong about being with him out the window, just
Yeah.
like overnight. And because the sex was just like so good, which I'd never really, I hadn't really gone there in my mind. But once it happened, I mean, it was like, I was just willing to, you know, give up everything.
You were like, fuck
I was
yeah.
just, kind of, yeah. And I was just completely blinded by the fact that, like, for instance, I am also childless by choice. He had 3 kids. I did not see myself being a mother to, you know, 3 boys of this age. And I just like sort of decided I was going to put that aside. He was actually kind of socially awkward, and that was awkward for me as well. Like there were times even when we were friends that I felt a little weird, you know? And also this is something else that I hear a lot. His ex had accused him of things that I wasn't even sure were true or not. And this is kind of beside the point, but when a person's ex has, you know, said things about them or made accusations, I'm not saying believe everything, but you need to take these things into consideration and not just say, well, I really care about this person. How could he possibly, you know, and at least get to know the situation and the person better. So also a lot of my friends didn't really like him, like not just one, like a few. Also, he didn't really have very many friends. And also I've mentioned before that I had an ex that kind of stalked me, and this was this person. So I know, but I got really wrapped up in just the excitement of the relationship and the fact that, you know, he had continued to pursue me, which I, you know, kind of convinced myself was romantic. And, you know, really, we were talking full on about moving in together, doing all of this stuff. There's no way I would have been happy even in a year. And yeah, it ended up hurting both of us because of it. So then a couple years later, after I thought that I had done I had done a lot of work on myself.
Yeah.
But I did almost the exact same thing. I fell like deeply, deeply into lust with another one of my friends. Within about a week of us kissing for the first time, we were spending almost every night together. I'm not kidding. It can happen that fast. And because we were spending so much time together, I had enough self-awareness by this time that I did start to see lots of things that kind of were not really weird, but kind of bugged me and that I thought would be hard for me to deal with long-term. But again, just in the excitement of it, I would just push everything away. And I just kept going, and things did fall apart, and it was really painful for me.
Oh.
So it can happen to all of us.
Yeah. So I know that's so painful. And you just like look back and you're like, I totally knew that was going to be an issue. I just didn't want to think about it at the time. So I didn't.
It's just really hard to put the brakes on something during the excitement. And especially when there's, you know, sex involved and physical chemistry and all of it. But it's important that you do.
Yep. So is our point that chemistry and sexual attraction are bad? No. Like, we want that for you. We want that for ourselves.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. What we want to get across is that when these dynamics are so intense and it's like kind of the only thing, you know, it's really, really important to take things slow so that you can get to know whether there are those other points of the triangle that will help you have like a foundation for a long-term relationship, if that's what you want.
I guess if you just want to fling, go with it. But I think that it's very hard to, you know, especially if you're living in the same area, it's very hard to just kind of say this is just going to be for a month and that we're not going to get emotionally invested. But you know, if you can do it, you know, props.
Props. So unfortunately, taking it slow is often the complete opposite of what people want to do when this is happening, but it'll serve the relationship long term if you do.
Yep. So for instance, looking back, the first time that I felt the overwhelming longing for the person. So the last relationship that I told you about. So we actually got into such a pattern so quickly that he actually started dropping me off at work within the first like couple of weeks that we were together. And I remember very specifically one of the second or third times that he did it. And I also hated my job, as we talked about last night when we saw each other. But I remember one time that he dropped me off and I just felt like, oh, you know, don't leave. I wanted to just be with him all day. Aww. And just feeling like, you know, I'm watching the clock when he's going to pick me up. So yeah, romantic. And yeah, I guess kind of sweet. But so now, and I can definitely say this and, you know, potentially we'll be able to document my dating journey on the podcast. But if I felt this with someone now, I would say that I need to step back. I would tell myself that I need to spend that night alone. I would, tell myself that we need to talk about the direction that this is taking, what we both want, and maybe make, some rules for myself as far as, spending at least a few nights alone. And this is things that lots of people, like, emotionally mature people in relationships do. And that's what I would, suggest to someone who's feeling this, overwhelming chemistry with someone.
Yeah. And also, like, a lot of these, like, questions and, like, where are we going with this, the directions,
Yeah.
they're not exactly, like, impossible to bring up. Like,
Yeah. You should be able to.
Yeah, you should be able to talk about this and, like, and the responses in that will tell you a lot.
Yeah. And it might still be hard to make a decision because of the chemistry, but you need to know that now.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. So I just want to point out that it does take some experience in order to learn about yourself and what is important to you. So if you have done this, or if you've maybe, we have some listeners who are just going through their first breakup ever, just remember, like, you sometimes just have to try things, and you sometimes have to make those mistakes to be like, oh, that was fun, first love. Yeah, I want to do things differently next time, or maybe 3 times from now. Sometimes you get the same lesson over and over until you learn it. So just
I've
know
also
that
heard this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So just know, like, this is about an evolution of you as a person and your learning. It's not about beating yourself up for the past. It's just about being introspective and becoming aware of your patterns and your past experience without having, like, guilt and shame about it. So that you can then bring those lessons and desires into your future. So you did what you needed to do to get here, and you can choose at any time to start living for yourself and choose your future partners from that perspective.
Yes, we're talking about conscious selection, intentional selection, and really, I mean, we're talking about your partner. I mean, you should be putting lots of thought and intention and selectivity into this. Really think about it. I mean, this is someone that you might be with for years. When it comes down to it, it doesn't really make, quote, sense to just let yourself make a decision because you just, love the sex or love the conversation or just feel the attraction. You should be putting you should put months and years into this decision, right? So what does it mean to have compatibility as well as chemistry with someone? All right. It's not just about taking it slow. I mean, that's a part of it. And it's not just about making sure that you get along well over time. There is a lot of really important practical factors that are important in relationships. And I know that some people might find this boring, and that unfortunately it's not all about roses and sex and holidays, but there are practical aspects to consider. So in preparing for this episode, I did so much reading by counselors, relationships experts, and I made quite a long list but I think we'll have fun discussing it on things that these people think that you should consider when deciding if you're going to couple up with someone. And so the list that I made are the things that came up over and over and over again. And I also think that we don't talk about this enough, like I said, and that I think that they're all worth mentioning so that the people listening can take it with them to their next, hopefully, healthy relationship.
And really, given how life-altering a relationship can be, both good and bad, it's worth the time and energy to consider all of this. So let's dive into those relationship compatibility factors.
We're being very prescriptive here, and but like I said, I think it's important. And also, just before we go into this, we're not saying that you need to be compatible and see eye to eye on all of these things. These are just things that you need to consider. So some things, of course, you are going to be off, and others are going to be straight on. But it's just all things that should be factored in.
Exactly. And you'll also have a hierarchy for yourself that's completely for you
Totally.
about which
Yes.
of these is actually the most important to you, which things you
Mm-hmm.
are willing to be different on. So, and
Yeah.
that'll vary person to person. Like you may have like a religion thing that is 100% has to match for you, but like for someone else, they're like, yeah, I'll convert to,
Yeah.
something else.
I'll
Like,
convert. Yeah, and we're gonna talk at the end of the list as far as what to do with this list as you,
hmm
continue to date.
yeah.
So let's dive in.
Woo.
Important areas of compatibility in relationships. Okay, and I also want to say some of this might seem silly, but as we talk about it, I think people will start to understand. The first one being a good example.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so number one, timeliness and punctuality. Okay, this came up a lot. And okay, so let's talk about it. This means if both of you are laid back and it's not that big of a deal if you're kind of late, that's
hmm
cool. If one of you is super punctual and it's a huge pet peeve of the other person if someone comes late, if you can or if they don't like for you to cancel plans,
Mm.
you might want to consider that if your partner doesn't mind being late and it drives you crazy from the beginning, that you guys, this might be an ongoing issue in the relationship.
Yeah. Or,
Right.
like just the unwillingness of either person to be flexible in it, you
Yeah.
know?
Because I guess
Um,
apparently for some people, this is just part of their personality. And
yeah.
I guess I would say for me, I'm just I
Yeah.
punctual. And some people
Punctual.
just aren't. I've had
They
friends where
just
it's like
aren't.
not even right, and then they don't even care. I mean, I seriously, and
Yeah.
I think for some
My
reason
parents
this
are
is just
that
part of
way.
how
Yeah.
they don't care.
Yeah. They're
It
just
is so weird
like,
to me.
yeah, 2 hours late doesn't matter. Like,
So for me, I don't think I'd be able to deal if
yeah.
someone just didn't care. Or and
Yeah.
actually have had a partner that just came late and was just like so. And for me, I just like felt devastated. Like this doesn't matter
Yeah,
to
you're
you, but
like, I've been waiting here. Like,
right.
I plan my
How
whole day
dare you?
around this. Like, yeah. So,
So something to
things will
consider.
vary there. So,
Mhm.
another factor that came up a lot was families. Um,
Yep.
each trying to like each other's family, if that's what you want.
Yeah.
And like I've had someone I dated who complained about their ex because their ex wanted them to hang out with their family without them. They wanted them to just come over and hang out with their mom and
Oh,
dad when they were at
wow.
work. They were like, you should be able to be friends with my family even if I'm not there. And for
Oh,
them, it
wow.
was a deal breaker. And obviously this person didn't understand that perspective at all. So
But I think some people would be totally down with that.
yeah.
And then and also, but in the situation that you're referring to, then the flip side would also need to be true, that she then would be willing to hang out with his family without him.
Yeah.
Like you would need to see eye to eye on these things.
Yeah,
And then also maybe
exactly.
both of you aren't really that close with your families, and so you don't care. And so
Yeah.
then still though you're seeing eye to eye on it. And
Yeah.
so if one person maybe is super close with their family and has these expectations and the other person doesn't, this could be something that could become a major issue. Trust me.
Yeah. And like another thing that's very tricky, and this is something that comes up like later in life, is like as your parents age, like, are they gonna come and live with you?
Oh
Is a
my, this would be
couple like a lot
a
of
very
yeah,
heavy
I mean,
conversation.
that's like, how are you gonna know? Like, no one has a plan for that, but it is something to kind of think about. If you're like, I cannot stand her parents,
Exactly.
this is the plan,
Uh-huh.
that when as they age, they're
Mhm.
not going to go to an assisted living
Yeah.
home. They're gonna stay
Mhm.
with us. Like, that can be very, very
Yes.
hard
Yeah. Mhm.
if you just really don't like
Yes.
their
So
family.
what you would, I guess, need to look on early on, or what you would need to look at early on
Uh-huh.
is if you can't stand this person's family, but this person is really close to their family and
Yeah.
wants to, be doing things all the time, which is
Yeah.
completely valid. But
That's
I would
yeah.
say really keep your eyes open to that, because these
Yeah.
are especially when it comes to families, this is the type of thing that can turn into huge fights and
Huge.
tons of ulcer causing trauma later
Yeah.
on.
It's true.
um all right, so then of course one of the obvious things to look for as far as compatibility goes, and things that you should be talking about in the 6 months, year time period, is oh, you all right?
No, I'm just it just happens occasionally.
All right, obviously you need to be talking about your future plans and goals.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously the kids thing is a big deal for some people, not as much for others. Where do you want to live? All right. Do you want to own a home? Some people are really into home ownership and see this as something they must accomplish. Some people do not care if they keep renting. You might just want to see how big of a deal breaker that is
Mm-hmm.
for each of you. Pet ownership, for instance. Are you going to be devastated, 2 years down the road when your partner still doesn't want to get a dog?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, exactly. Like if they're like, we'll never have animals.
And
Do
yeah, and it's important to you. I mean, again,
Yeah.
perfectly valid and
Yeah.
something to talk about and look at.
Yeah. I want to add one more thing to that is how you look at money, like spending money, versus
That's
saving
on the
money,
list.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Um, awesome. So next up we have cleanliness and orderliness.
A deal breaker for some and not
Yes.
for others at all.
Yeah.
I would say for me, for instance, this would be something I'd be looking at in the early days.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be able to. If someone wasn't going to pitch in, if someone wasn't going to share the
Yeah.
responsibilities, if someone just didn't care, which is fine. Some people don't get bothered by the things that I get bothered about. But
Yeah.
it makes me happy to have a clean home.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I need that. I just know that I do. We've talked about the laundry dude many times on the show. You've talked about, sheets and, bathroom cleanliness and all of that. I think we both have. This would be
Dishes.
something that,
Yeah.
so
And I
for
would
me
add
though,
to
dishes
that.
is a thing. For you, not as much, but the other stuff
Yeah.
is. So, but maybe you need a guy who doesn't mind helping out with the dishes.
Yeah, that's 100% it, because I will deep clean my entire house before I do the dishes. I hate doing the dishes,
Oh, that's so
and
fun.
it's one of the first things I tell people when I date them, and I let them know, this will annoy you. Or you can go into it and know that I will literally do every other chore.
Fair enough, and I mean, certain things should be split up, and there's really nothing wrong with
and so
that.
the splitting up is something to just attach to that. Like if a male has an old-fashioned view of the domestic roles, that could be an issue.
Yeah, or and the only thing they're going to help out with is taking out the trash, whereas you want to split up everything.
Yeah.
Again, maybe not a deal breaker to some, would be for me, but
yeah, would be for me too.
And you might want to also look at how they live. So, which I have done, and I have full on stopped dating someone because of how dirty his place was. Yeah.
I've actually heard that too from clients. So yeah.
Well, it's good. It's healthy though to do that. And this is one of the things I did that was very healthy in dating someone. All right. So, okay. Another thing that's very important as far as compatibility goes, communication styles and being able to have arguments in kind of a healthy way, or in a way that, vibes with you. So, is this person willing to listen to you without blowing up? Do they even want to listen to you? Like, is talking even important? And this is another thing. Sometimes when people get caught up in the sex and the chemistry and the attraction, you might find that you're not even really having conversations, and that when one of you tries to, talk about relationship issues, like the other person just doesn't even want to do it. So keep your eyes open for that. So is the person willing to negotiate when, something comes up where you kind of both see it differently? Is the person willing to accept responsibility, perhaps if they hurt your feelings? How does this person handle anger? And also, like I was just saying, how able are they to even talk about anything sensitive? Some people really don't want to talk about anything that makes them uncomfortable. And some people are really into that. So might not work long term if you're not seeing eye to eye on communication.
Yeah, that's definitely something I've dealt with that was quite painful. And that was just like not being able to like share like deeper things or have deeper discussions, or when something was brought up, it was kind of like, okay, can we change the subject now? And it's like, but I kind of wanted to like get your take on it and like have some reassurance, not just like, okay, I agree, like let's go do something else, this is painful, like so that kind of avoidance.
And I've kind of been in a similar place, but one example that I can think of that's a little similar to this is I dated another person who it just was like these deep and meaningfuls needed to happen all of the time. Even if there wasn't even anything really going on, he just would somehow find a way to make it so significant. And I just felt kind of exhausted, like we were just things were just constantly coming up,
heavy.
And it's like we're
So
not
it's
even
the opposite.
and I just thought I can't do this, like why do we have to talk, like have these deep conversations all the time, every day, like we're just hanging out and you've got like a thought comes into your head or it's making you think of wanting to have a deep conversation, and I'm just like, I just want to have fun, please stop. And we weren't compatible, because some people, some women would be like, let's sit down and talk. And for me, sometimes I just really didn't want to. It really got to me. Different styles.
Yeah. So I mentioned this earlier because I didn't look 2 things ahead. Money and spending. So if your ideas about money are vastly different, like if one person is like super into Dogecoin and the other one's like, no, you can't put $5,000 into Dogecoin. Are you kidding me right now? Then that might be
the
an
money
issue.
thing is way more complex than it may seem. I mean, it could be anything from how much you like to save, how much you like to spend at dinner, how much each of you wants to split things up.
Going out to dinner even in the first place.
Exactly. And how much you each talk about money. And this is my thing. If I'm going to go out to eat, for instance, or go shopping, I just want to go and enjoy it. And it costs what it costs, and I'm just going to go with the experience, and I'm not going to really dwell on the cost and bring it up later and sit at the restaurant and talk about it. Whereas some people just are constantly talking about how much everything costs, and I hate it. But okay, so it's not bad, it's just I don't enjoy dating people who do that. And the last relationship that I mentioned, he was it's a topic of conversation constantly person.
And so that's something. Oh, sorry.
It's just, go ahead.
That can evolve too. Like if the job situation changes or something for your partner, like you may find that at first they were like, everything was kind of low stress about money, and then now it's like very high stress about money because there's not much of it, and that's a hard thing to navigate.
Yeah. I think this is more about having conversations about what's going on for you rather than just kind of like a personality style or a money style. Because I've known people even who had plenty of money who would still, 2 weeks later, when like something about the dinner comes up, and they're saying, and I spent this.
Venmoing you for the $1.50 because you rented a movie for $3 for a date night. Like, I would not appreciate that if someone did that for a date.
No, me neither.
I'd be like, I'd rather just cover it.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, that's just always how I've been. But I mean, for instance, this guy that I was dating actually brought up this idea of this app that a couple would share, where every time they do something together, they put in who paid what. And he brought it up to me and he said, this will help us to not get stressed about who's paying for what. And I said, I will never be stressed about that. But he thought it was very normal.
Oh my God.
I know.
Wow.
But see, I should have just said, I really need to reevaluate things because we see so differently on this. I am relaxed. I will, I'm happy to treat when I want to treat. You treat when you want to treat. It just makes it more fun to me rather than like constantly dwelling on the money. But for him, he needed that. It made him feel more comfortable. So not compatible.
Not compatible.
My point.
Yeah, some people are like, who is this guy? Can I have his contact information? Because that sounds great. But no.
Right, exactly. I'm definitely not saying that, my way is better. But it's just a completely different way of seeing things. All right, so drum roll, sex and intimacy. So, okay, this is something important to gauge in the, initial year or two of the relationship.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? So your drive. Does one person, need or want sex way more than the other?
Yeah.
Preferences. There is a wide world, as we explored in the 50 Shades of Grey episode.
Yeah.
This week. There's a wide world of different sexual preferences and ways to be, sexually intimate with your partner. And some people are going to be into stuff and some aren't. And for some people, it's more important than it is for others. So these are things that you need to be talking about and experimenting with and learning about. And what did you say? Don't try it unless you buy it. Or wait, don't.
Don't buy it until you try it.
Yes.
Try it before you buy it. So a word on drive as well is also how your partner acts when your drives are not in alignment.
Yes.
Because chances are you're not going to be in alignment because that's really hard to manage. And then also like different seasons of life that's going to fluctuate. Like for women, as a generalization here, obviously there's exceptions, but for women, when they get stressed, they want sex less. And when men get stressed, they generally want sex more. So it like kind of, you want to make sure that those inconsistencies between the two of you are like handled in a healthy way, a respectful way that makes the two of you both feel like you're still like cared for. You don't want to be like constantly guilted into things or just and there's also like other ways to make sure that you're each getting what you want without like necessarily having to like do the dirty, and
again, things that you learn about each other over time and experience.
Yeah, and I guess like another thing could be like porn usage or something in here
exactly
too.
And that's what I think that would probably fall under preferences. Is one of you really into it and one of you repulsed by it, or so many things. Yes, and you are not going to know because I think with some people, myself being a perfect example, like I said earlier, when the chemistry is strong and you begin having sex, sometimes you get really wrapped up in it for a month too, and it's like you can't get enough, but that is not sustainable. And so before you make any life-changing decisions, you need to kind of ride the wave and then see what happens when it will inevitably start to get normal. When you're
stabilize.
Stabilize, sex stabilization. And see what happens. And enjoy the, can't keep your hands off each other, period.
Totally enjoy it.
Amazing.
But no, it won't always be like that.
And that you're going to need to see how things go when it fades a little. And that's a really beautiful thing in a way, for some couples when, they start to kind of get into a rhythm with life and the sex isn't as frequent, you can really start to learn a lot about each other in that time period. And it can be really great. I mean, this is a lot of times when the friendship builds. And also when you find out that this person is going to, have a hissy fit if you're, decide you don't want to have sex.
Oh God.
Take into consideration.
Oh my God.
Or maybe you have a hissy fit when they don't want to have sex. So all things to know. And that's why, the first 2 years are just, really great. It's all research.
Yep. Political views.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Yeah. How important are your views to each of you? Um,
Some people might not care.
yeah.
All right. And
And
no,
that,
the people are out
I'm
there.
being open to that possibility. So,
But see, but I like both of us might date
yeah.
someone or meet someone who doesn't care, and we would find that repugnant, because we
Yeah.
do care.
Yeah.
So
And
probably wouldn't be a match.
that's the thing too, is you can be like in the same political like party and have different levels of involvement too. Like one of you may be like, oh, I need to go and march, while the other one is like, no.
I'm just gonna vote.
I just don't want to, like, maybe like they're like, yeah, I'd be more liberal, but I just like don't feel like educating myself, and I don't feel like I can even make a difference.
Yeah.
That could even be like an incompatibility there. And
Yeah.
then you can have serious incompatibilities. Yeah.
Yeah, which I don't even know how people do it, but
Yeah.
like we just saw, obviously the last election here in America was quite divisive, and I don't know, if okay, I haven't asked you this. If there was a Trump and Biden couple out there who was passionate about their convictions and they've stayed together, I would love to hear from you. Don't think that it was that possible. And also, we have a ton of overseas listeners who might not understand exactly why we're even talking about this, because these things aren't as divisive in other countries, but they are here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Other countries have different political systems that are also starting to get a little more extreme, and so maybe it's you're seeing something similar happen in your country, but I'm not going to get into it. But basically, yeah.
I think that
Views.
This would be more of a very early thing. I think this would be something that you'd find out about
Yeah,
someone really
you would
early
know
on.
pretty quickly.
Yeah, in this country at least. You would
country?
meet someone and know. Almost, you certainly.
Yeah, there's some signs.
Right. Right. All right, so we're not gonna get too much into this, but yeah, political views, compatibility issue. All right, so I like this one. Life priorities and tempo. This came up a lot.
Yeah.
So, for instance, your schedules. We talked about this last night.
Your sleep schedules.
Right.
It's not impossible, but like if you're like, I need to get to bed at this certain time, like, and you're both very firm in your schedules and you can't find any way to like find a system that works for the two of you, then yeah, it possibly would be a deal breaker.
Yeah, potentially. Okay, so this is a good one. So as far as tempo goes, your energy and desire around work. Like how important is you that you're at your desk all day? How important is you that you're advancing in your career?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kind of just drifting, or and the other one has a 9 to 5, things like that? Do you keep normal work hours and the other person wants to work all the time?
Yeah. And like we have said this whole time, is it does depend per person. I know, there are couples out there where the guy works a part-time job and works on the house and the woman is the breadwinner.
Yeah,
and
completely.
If that, if she's cool with that, then you're good to go. It's, I think it's when like jealousy or like feelings of inadequacy or feeling like you're mothering your partner, like these can all be like connected to like your working energy, desire, devotion. Yeah
and how you each feel about it. And and this kind of leads in to the other thing related to priorities and tempo is relaxation. And how do you each feel about relaxation? And what does that mean to you? So a good example would probably be on the weekend, if your partner is always answering emails and to you that is, you know, something that you don't want around you. And, you know, if you expect relaxation to mean that the two of you are spending time together and the other person is, you know, checking emails and texts and doing work. So I mean, this is just, for some people that makes them happy, for some people it doesn't, and long term this could end up causing problems.
Yeah.
And for some people not, but it's just, you know, things to look at. You know, in the early days of a relationship, if your partner's on their phone on the weekends doing work stuff, is it irritating? Is it triggering to you?
True.
I mean, I think for me this would probably be a bit of a, I don't know actually, because I like to have my alone time on the weekend. So maybe if my partner was working, I'd be like, cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know, but I definitely know that I want to be with someone who we can have some downtime or vacations without work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right.
So another is outlook on life. Are you a pessimist? Yeah. Are they an optimist?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you not understand their perspective on things, especially when things are going wrong? You're like, dude, you are stressing me out so much more than I would like to be. Like, you know.
Yeah. This would probably be a big thing for both of us.
Yeah.
You know, if someone was saying, what's law of attraction? What's manifesting? That's, you know, that's dumb. What, you know, like, don't tell me to think positive. Don't tell me to put a, you know, positive spin on this. You know, might not work.
Or if something goes wrong and they just like lay down and take it and complain the whole time instead of being like, okay, like here's the situation. Here's some possible ways we can fix it. Let's take some action, you know.
Yeah.
So
but that's just how some people are. You know, I know a couple, it's like some couples who, you know, they complain a lot and they both do, and they vibe.
Exactly. They're compatible.
That's totally cool. But for me, I don't think so.
Yeah.
And you know, someone would probably could date me and say she's too cheery and positive and, you know, weird and woo woo. So
yeah.
All right. So this is kind of an obvious one that I don't know that we need to talk about too much, but something that also would probably come out in the beginning: spirituality and religion. And again, you know, perfect example, you know, I'm very spiritual. You know, if someone didn't respect that, probably not for me. You know, how important is your religion to you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you don't have to like, I mean, especially with like spirituality and like law of attraction and all the like woo woo stuff. Like you don't have to like force your partner to be doing affirmations with you every morning. It's more that they accept that you're doing it and they're supportive. And they're not like, you know, making fun of you or something for it. Like,
which can definitely happen, and something that should probably be a red flag. If anything that's important to you is something that, you know, this person is finding to, you know, to belittle, walk away.
Come on. That could no.
I know, but it happens.
This person's supposed to have your back.
Totally.
So, all right. So another thing is time apart.
This came up, like I said earlier, a lot. I wasn't expecting that, but this is a big deal.
Yeah. You know, first of all, the ability to do it. Your expectations on how much time you each want. What time apart involves. Like if they're like, no, I'm sorry, you can't, like, I don't feel comfortable with you going, you know, I don't know, to the rock climbing gym without
very specific example, but I agree.
Yeah, it was specific. Sorry. Yeah, so you know, if they're having problems with you doing things, you know,
if you go and have time apart and for you this is enjoyable, and the other person is, you know, texting you nonstop and doesn't respect it.
Yeah.
You know, so I guess that would be ability and expectations, and also your partner's ability to respect it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, think about those things. And it may, you know, especially in the beginning, like maybe you're both like having some trouble with it, but like it's cool to like talk about it and be like, hey, like I love spending time with you, like, but I don't want to lose myself in this, and I don't want you to lose yourself. Let's like, you know, like I'm gonna miss you tonight, but let's spend some time apart.
Right.
You know.
And I did read quite a bit that each individual person's ability to be apart is actually an indication that you're more compatible rather than not wanting or not being able to spend time apart. Because if
Yeah.
you're not able to spend time apart, that's infatuation. It's not compatibility.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
especially
not
if
good.
there's like a lack of trust
Yeah.
in that, you're like, oh, I need to like supervise this person.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah. Another red flag for sure.
Yeah.
So that was a pretty long list.
Yeah.
And we hope that wasn't boring to people, but we also hope that, you listen, and that if you're dating right now, that maybe you start to think about some of these things. So now that you've heard us talk about it, and if you are dating, or no, even if you're not dating, okay,
Yeah.
a lot of people who listen want
Do
to
this
be
before you're dating, actually, is what we're about to talk about.
Totally.
100% do it before you're dating, because then you're not attached to making this conform to someone you're interested in right now. So, yeah.
Yes. All the single ladies, make
all
it
single ladies. Cool. So,
all right. So I want you to write down your top 20 desires and things you want in your next relationship and partner.
yes.
All right. So I do want to point out, and I'm glad that you said yes, dear.
You could also add to that a list of things you want in your life, not necessarily for relationships and partners.
Sure,
because
yes.
if you don't know what you want out of your life, you could possibly find a partner that prevents you from getting some of the things that it turns out you did really want.
Yeah, true. I mean, intentional living, baby, completely.
Yeah.
So all right, so I would think these are two different lists, though. And then to start, maybe say the top 20 things you want out of life.
Yeah.
And then the top 20 things you want out of relationship and partner.
Yeah.
Why not? The more lists, the better.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you can even, like you can also like do like 10 things for the relationship, 10 things for the actual partner, and look at them kind of separately.
10 years from now.
Yeah. Whitney, who we're gonna have on pretty soon.
Next week.
She has a wonderful system for this. Oh, is it yeah.
Coming up
real soon. But she has a great way of doing this. I'm sure she'll describe it on the podcast. So keep an eye out for Whitney's episode, because she breaks it down into needs, wants, and desires. But
fantastic.
I'll leave
I'm
it
excited
there
to ask her about that.
Yeah.
Super. But also I want to say that it is still easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new relationship when there's attraction and chemistry, even if you have this list. All right. Yes. So you need this list. You need to know what's on the list. And then you still need to take things slow, because like with, I guess we'll just call him Laundry Boy.
Laundry Boy.
So I had already made my list. And in fact, I think that I'd even showed it to him. And I knew that he didn't tick a lot of the things. I knew. But I got what I think it was a good example of cognitive dissonance, because once I got caught up in it, I just was able to like set these things aside. And so it's a combination of knowing what you want and then still being really intentional and conscious in the relationship and taking things slow and continuing to think about what you want as you go along with this person.
Yeah.
Is this fitting in? Are we having conversations about what I want?
Yeah. Yeah. Another way to like do this is to weight each item. So like one item may be a deal breaker, that's worth 5 points, but another one isn't so much of a deal breaker, it's worth 1 point. So like and then you can have ones that are infinity points. So if you don't have them, there's like no way they can get a high enough score,
What would be your infinity?
Oh, an infinity? Must like cats.
Oh, Claire.
I mean, obviously.
So cute.
Yeah, I'm not like, the cats are not going and they're gonna live till I'm 40. So unless you want to wait until I'm 40
to date me,
in which case I'll probably get another cat. But
another for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah. So good. I mean, that's like a silly example, but it isn't silly, because I'm just not like deal breaker. Like you can't, if you're allergic to cats, take some Claritin. Like, if you don't want to take some Claritin, we're not the right match. Like, that's fine.
To the left.
Yeah, exactly. Move on. Find
Right.
someone.
No,
It's
a good example because it's highly practical and it's important. It's gonna make or break
what would be one of yours?
I think that I guess someone who didn't want to travel, someone who didn't want to move, an Orthodox Mormon, perhaps wouldn't be like mesh.
You're like, nope.
And yeah, those would be a few things. I mean, this is perfect real life example of this because I think I'd have to think about, and as I'm sitting here talking about it, I think it might be good to come up with, like your top 5 deal breakers.
Yeah.
Another one of my deal breakers is, which I always tell my partners, is like I never want anyone to tell me to shut up. That's very like a no for me.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and then I don't know. I'd have to think a little bit more about
this.
So,
I guess, this list could tell you a lot about your traumas because I definitely have very specific things that people are not allowed to do. So,
well, and partners should respect that.
Exactly. They should. Yeah. So
I think that the cleanliness thing would be a deal breaker for me, and that seems small, but I don't think that I would probably be able to be happy with someone who is overly messy.
Yeah, we are never going to be roommates.
No.
So
that's all right. Well, I mean, I guess another thing would be, I really like having my own space, so I guess someone who wants to move in right away would probably not. You
want like a what are those? Are they condos? Or duplex, like a duplex where it's separate and you're like,
oh yeah,
you live very close to each other, but you can have your own space. I'm going to my room now. Bye.
Possibly. Ooh, I'm gonna think about this. Let's definitely ask me about this in another episode because I'm gonna come up with my top 5 deal breakers.
Ooh, yeah.
All right.
So what are, just before we finish here, what are some ways to take things slow in the early days of a relationship? Like, how do you make yourself do this? This honestly could be an entire episode, but we don't want to leave you hanging after diving so deep into the importance of taking your time. So
easier said than done. So I didn't want to just
here's some tactics. So first, learn about the person on the first date. And then consider how what you know about them fits into your life and relationship desires. And this is a big deal because if you're sharing all of the things that you want on the first date, they're going to know exactly what to say in order to be in there. So this is a time to, like, it's not necessarily that you're like, oh, don't tell them anything about yourself. It's more like you want to give out information in stages. So, you could say, oh, like, family is really important to me on the first date, but, elaborate more as you get to know this person and as they've like proved that they're not just going to turn everything you say into like an act.
Yeah.
So.
All right. And this is a good tip that I actually came up with. So space out the initial dates.
Big deal. Yeah.
Yes. And it's actually, like kind of simple concept. But so if you meet someone that you're vibing with, make sure to space the dates out. See each other once a week or even every other week in the beginning. You do not need to start hanging out all the time. You don't need to start texting every day. Space it out. See how the other person responds to the spacing out of things, and see also if the chemistry is so good, then see if it can last week to week, only seeing each other once a week. You'll know that it's real if you do this.
Yeah, definitely. So also do a wide variety of things together in the beginning. So don't get too comfortable and fall into patterns and habits. you want to be able to see this person in different settings,
Yes.
with
I
different
can speak to
people,
this.
and yeah.
Exactly. With Laundry Boy, we fell into this pattern, which was actually really lovely, of hanging out after work. He really enjoyed cooking. As a lot of people know, it's not really my thing. He would always cook a nice dinner. We would have friends over, hang out, and then, just have a really nice night, have sex, go to sleep. I mean, it was really fun and lovely, and what
Yeah.
lots of people in relationships would want. But we
Mm-hmm.
just kind of started doing it all the time, which, like I said, it felt great. But then once we kind of took things to the next level, and we were doing, like, for instance, he went to work in London and I went over there to visit him. So, like, completely out of, the norm of everything that we had been doing. And he was very uncomfortable, for instance, like in public settings, like out in the city, and that made me kind of uncomfortable, because it just was like this different side of him. And just in different settings, he was just acting completely different. And I had just realized, we had never really done this before, really saying that we were in it for the long haul. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely important to
Yeah.
do all sorts of different things. Don't get into a pattern. Don't get boring, people.
Yeah.
Too early, too early.
Yeah, and like these examples are very personal. Like they're,
Yeah.
that doesn't have to be a deal breaker for you. You might be listening and like, wait, what? Like,
Mm-hmm.
of course you act
Yeah.
differently in different situations,
But it was different.
Um,
It was different weird to me. Like, I
yeah,
was just like seeing different
exactly.
sides. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I can totally see, because it's like, wait, who are you then?
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
so
another example is, when we were at home having these nice dinners with our friends over and wine, it was just, oh, so much fun. But then I know when we were in London one night, we went to this really fancy restaurant, and the same vibe just wasn't there at all. He seemed, very uncomfortable in the setting, and, things that, you would, experience with someone more early on, and just
yeah.
know that, like, this is kind of like my jam, being out doing this. And for him, it wasn't. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know if some people think that's petty. That's fine. It's just one example that I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So another thing, and I do want to stress this one: hold off incorporating this person into your personal life too much at first. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
having a good date with someone doesn't mean you invite them out to your friend's happy hour or barbecue, the next weekend, or even in the initial months. It doesn't mean you're bringing them around to your family things, introducing them to people right away. Um, Once you start to do this, it can make it a lot harder to break things off once you realize that the compatibility isn't there as much as the chemistry. And that's one reason that people stay in the relationship, is because they've integrated their lives. And so it makes it harder and more painful to cut it off.
Yeah, I mean, to play devil's advocate
Okay.
though, I
Okay.
think your friends are sometimes much better judges of
Uh-huh.
who you're
Uh-huh.
actually compatible with
Mm-hmm.
than you when you're in that crazy phase. So like,
Okay.
yeah, they shouldn't be coming to every friend hangout.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've been dating for a couple months, I would start having them come to some things,
Okay.
not
Yeah. More
everything.
casual, maybe,
Yeah.
like to the bar where people
Yeah.
are hanging. Mm-hmm.
Exactly, because you want to give your friends the opportunity to
Yeah.
be like, no, I
Well, and
don't
I
see
also
it.
think a couple
Like,
months in is perfectly appropriate.
yeah,
Maybe not a week in, or
yeah,
within the
no,
first month
yeah,
that you're doing everything together. But yeah, you're right. A couple months.
yeah, exactly, because it can also become like kind of a pattern. If you're casually dating people and you're always bringing a new guy,
Huh.
that's not great. Because then your friends just kind of get burnt out and they're like, oh, hey, what's your name?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I'm not going to
Yeah.
remember it because you won't
Mm-hmm.
be here again.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think there is a balance to strike, but I definitely wouldn't make it where you only ever see your friends if your partner can come.
Yes,
Like,
yes, and more. Yes.
yeah.
All right. So, Claire, do you have anything else to say about chemistry versus compatibility?
No, I mean, so much of what we said is just, like knowing what your personal deal breakers are. Like we give you a lot of examples, but the main point is that, like, yeah, maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 things you're flexible on. But when the number starts growing of the things that you realize you don't have in common and you're not on the same page about, like, those are really big signs. And there's so many people out there. And I think I said this on a recent episode as well, is just like, oh no, it was on our live. So, is that trying not to hurt someone by breaking up with them and delaying that decision, you're not only preventing yourself from finding someone who is a better fit for you, but you're also preventing that partner from finding the person they're actually supposed to be with. So, you know, like when you start seeing these things and you're like, okay, I think I know what has to be done. I just don't want to do it. I just want to delay it. Like, I don't want to hurt them. Just know it's going to hurt them less in the long term to cut these ties sooner.
And it does suck. Yeah, for sure. And cutting things off is painful for everyone. I think it sometimes it can help once you start to recognize some of these deal breakers and red flags. And again, I really want to talk about this in the future. I'm like, I have here on my notebook, like my 5 deal breakers. So I think that when some of these things start to come up, and again, I did this with Laundry Boy, is to think, how can I see, what does this look like to me in a year from now? You know, or even 2 years from now. And if you're really honest with yourself, if these things, you know, if these things are real things about this person that you're already noticing, how likely is it that you're going to be that jazzed about being with this person in a year? And I know it sucks when you have the chemistry, is why I wanted to do this episode, because who wants to break something off with someone who they're having great sex with, or who like they love getting together with? No, of course you don't. But if you want a relationship, it's a part of being an adult. Oh, I know it sucks, but we want you to be happy. We want your partner to be happy. We want you to have great relationships. And this is one way to do it, baby.
Awesome. Well,
well, we love you all. Leave us a review if you like this episode. If you didn't, you can skip the review. If you have a story about chemistry versus compatibility, we'd love you to DM us. If you have a breakup question, we'd love you to DM us. Let us know what you think. Hop on over to our Facebook group, Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On. And keep your eye on this space. We've got a lot of really cool content planned for you. We love you all, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to X-Files, a podcast about breakups, broken hearts, and moving on.
If you like this episode, tag us on your Instagram story so we can connect with you.
And you can find me, Claire, on Instagram at Claire Lofthouse.
And me, Janice, on Instagram at Janice Formicella. If you'd like to join our online community, find us on Facebook at Breakups, Broken Hearts, and Moving On.
And here's a preview of our next episode.
There are parts of you that are just hardwired. Like the way I was raised in my attachment style is anxious. So I naturally am like a fairly anxious individual and have to process through my own anxiety around stuff. And I can have experiences with my partner now where something will be like a flag will go up in my head and I'll be like, oh my God, does he really love me? Oh my God, are we okay? And that's when I like allow myself like, okay, you can ask him once in a given day, are we good? And then you have to be okay with that answer. And he knows now, like he's like, okay, honey, I have answered that question for you like twice already today, and like we're not going down that because we're good. Because do you remember the answer I gave you?
Do you remember, babe?